Howdy guys and gals, I'm Ambiguity, and today I'm painting the character D.Va with her Destroyer skin from Heroes of the Storm. Lately I've been really into starting straight in paint. You'll notice I use a lot of shapes. I've never been really fantastic at line drawing so much. Yeah. So I'm starting with these shadow shapes, and I'm keeping everything pretty monochrome at the start here. You can see I am kind of lining stuff, but it's still with a really thick brush, so just really trying to get in those shadow shapes, thinking of it kind of like a grayscale image, but I want there to be some color in there so that I don't have to use a bunch of adjustment layers later to try to get rid of all the black that's in there. It stays muddy for so long when you do it that way, or at least whenever I attempted that way. So yeah, that's why the color. I try to think of everything that I add in two tones. So, starting off with normally what's the brightest color minus highlights, and then I'll just go over it with the shadow tone that I picked, and I try to, like I said, keep it two tones and everything spaced out evenly. So, if you had like a scale of 10 values and you want the skin to come down 2 values for the shadows, then everything in the image should really come down that 2 values, so that, at least this is the way I think of it, so that way everything remains readable. As I get towards the end, I'll start pushing the face towards full value, and that's just because it's the focal point. So it'll draw more interest that way. At least that's the idea. If you saw starting out, it was just the shapes, like I said, but that wasn't really set in stone on the lighting yet. So you just saw here, like I made a big cast shadow across her entire face, and lighting it 3/4, light coming more towards the right and a little bit in front, and just using that cast shadow to let the viewer assume that there's something blocking the light there. Had to size down her giant ear. I didn't notice at first that it was so big. Happens. I try my best not to transform and stuff so much lately. I really want to repaint things if I make a mistake, but sometimes you're like way too far into the painting to do that. Making her lips a little bit thinner on the top for her smile, because in the 3D model it seems a little bit unnatural. Like your lips stretch across your teeth, and the upper lip also tends to tuck underneath. And I could probably actually go even a little bit thinner than I did, but yeah, I think at the start I'm watching the reference too much. I'm just trying to get the figure a little bit more rendered, so I can judge it against what I already have. I don't know why I spent so much time like rendering it as if she was nude, because she obviously has armor, and then her skin on her torso is not even her skin. It's like lava or something. So yeah, this part right here is just kind of a waste of time. You'll notice besides that bit of orange, and now the hair color is different, but before, besides that bit of orange, everything was still the same color range, you know, that bluish color. I try to stay monochrome for as long as possible, just so I can worry about the values first and not all the color. This jaw gives me so much trouble. this entire painting. I end up making like last minute edits at the very end. But yeah, this is often a thing of, I start out with such big shapes that as I refine things more and more, the proportions get out of whack. And I don't know that there's a way to combat that, other than, you just gotta paint over, I guess. The stuff in the shadow, I need it to round off a little bit, so I am going a little bit darker, but trying hard not to go super dark because I don't want everything to be equally modeled in both the shadow and in the light. And for this piece, I think I wanted it a little bit flatter in the shadow. So at least when you squint, it should all turn out to be pretty much the same value. Sans the obvious eye makeup. No, I'm starting to bring in more tones with the black armor. I think at this point I'm not really, like you can see even the references in it's facing to the left and I have my painting facing to the right. I'm not really looking at the reference religiously. Literally referring to it, not copying it. And yeah, besides like just trying to keep your own style, it's a 3D model, so, and it's like a kind of low poly 3D model, so it's not the greatest reference anyways to copy, so do not recommend. It's something that's always bothered me about D.Va, and is that they make her pretty Caucasian looking, so I'm trying to force it to be more Asian, and I don't think I really succeed very well as far as the recording goes, but once I show the final at the end, I think it's a bit better. It's tough. It's tough with so much eye makeup too, because like that's really where I personally feel I can make it look Asian the strongest. And not just like the eyes itself, but everything around the eyes, like the glabella especially needs to be pretty flat. And this smoky eye is kind of highlighting the bridge too much. And the colors are so close together that it's hard to know if that's foreign shadow or eye makeup. So I hope it reads as eye makeup, but I don't know. Leave that for others to judge. I've drawn D.Va before, so I've drawn this headband shape before, and it's pretty crazy. Trying to imagine this in 3 dimensions. Even with the reference, this isn't, like I said, it's not an exact copy, so it's a little bit different. These spikes end up getting changed in the final. I think they were too far swept back what I originally did, so I end up making them a bit taller. When I zoom in, I try not to go so far zoomed in that I can't see enough context around it. You know, if you get too far into an eye or whatever, except at the very, very end where you need that final level of polish, if you get too far zoomed in, it's really, really easy to mess up proportions. I think the reason why I made those spikes so swept back was because I was trying to avoid the tangent. It's getting pretty... The big one's obviously breaking the canvas, but the small spikes, when I first did them, they were just about to touch the edge, and yeah, that's no bueno. It's distracting. I guess I missed the hair part, but something that you'll hear a lot is not to like draw every strand of hair and stuff. And while I agree with that, I think it's misleading. I feel like you should definitely establish the form of what's underneath first, but as far as texturing goes, like I literally just scribble, and I find that for me, it's more realistic. It feels more realistic that way than if I had just done, like lit it like ribbons, like everybody says. I think there's styles that go really well with that, more cartoony styles, and but yeah, if you don't add that texture, it just ends up looking too stylized, especially for the type of faces that I do. It just doesn't fit. Which I used to do that all the time. I'm glad I finally switched that up. And notice I don't really do these, I do make it lighter, but I don't do these sharp highlights in the shadow. One, because it's blocking the light, so you shouldn't see those reflections really. And 2, because like I said at the start, I wanted to keep the shadows pretty flat and exposed for the light. Maybe go a little darker there. This was bugging me too, because it looked like her face was painted on the top half. Like the darker part is literally just paint. So you see, like right here, I'm adding the subsurface scattering to try to combat it, and then I realized that, oh, the hair and the headband aren't in shadow. I think I had established that at the start with the paint sketch, but then I just forgot about it. I tried a bunch of different things with that shoulder pad, getting it into, like, putting a little bit of atmospheric perspective on it, but in the end I just decided to fully render it because it wasn't looking good. Here I'm adding a big cheesy kick light. No portrait is complete without it. This is I think the one time in the painting where I'm using a different blending mode a lot. This is linear dodge on a layer over top. But yeah, I was just unsure about how it was going to look, and I ended up liking it, so I kept it. Time saver. Changing the background color just to harmonize things a little bit better, and then make that orange even stronger in contrast. I think that's always a nice color palette, is something, a lot of analogous colors and then just one complementary or split complementary. I'm adjusting all the edges here, because yeah, it's a lot of loose, so I'm tightening it up. But also, one thing I'm doing is where two edges meet, even if both of them are meant to be hard, the one that's in the back, I still make it soft, just to add depth. I got that from Andrew Loomis. I think it looks nice. I think this is about the end of the painting. Yeah, here, there's me fixing the jaw and chin again. But yeah, this is the end of the painting. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you would like to see more videos like this, or if there's some other things you think you might want to see from me, or yeah, things I could talk about in a future video maybe. But thanks for watching.